The time has finally come. Dune Awakening Chapter 3 is nearly upon us, and looking at what's coming and the changes that have already been made, it might finally be time to return to Dune Awakening. In today's video, I'm just going to go over all the changes that are coming or already have arrived for Dune Awakening, because it's arguably most important update so far is about to drop. So let's start with the end game. Arguably the biggest issue with Dune Awakening right now is its endgame, and something the devs have been really working hard towards is improving that for everyone. Because I think we can all agree everything before the endgame is phenomenal, and that's the part that we enjoy the most. Some people still like the endgame as it is now, and that's fine, but I think I speak for the majority when I say everything before endgame was good, endgame was pretty underwhelming. So now we're getting a bigger, better endgame, and the devs apparently know what we want. More options in the endgame, more ways to play that are equally rewarding, more content, more stuff to discover and experience in the world of Arrakis. To be able to take full advantage of everything the endgame has to offer without being forced to engage in a playstyle they don't want to, and more ways to advance their character with deeper progression systems. Yep, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. It was one of the biggest complaints that my friend group definitely had, is that we were almost forced into PvP when we didn't really want it, and there was no real reason for the end game. Because the systems weren't all there that would make it worthwhile, you kind of hit a wall. Well, now Chapter 3 aims to address each of these points. In addition to the continuation of the main story and many other additions, this update introduces more meaningful ways to progress after reaching Plastanium, which is tier 6. It expands late gameplay with deeper choices, shared goals, and more ways for players to continue growing. On the progression side, players get to take advantage of the added depth provided by the specialization and augmentation systems, and in terms of content, they've added 10 new locations on the overland map, including unique repeatable testing stations that feature challenging boss encounters with scaling difficulty and increasingly valuable loot. All of this sounds awesome, adding more progression, more reason to actually do the end game, because there are now more systems that will be in place to progress your character, to progress your guild, your group, everything. There will just be more to do in the end game now, rather than fight each other for spice. For what reason, we're not really sure. And speaking of that player interaction, players can now also take missions for the Landsrad, missions that provide more flexible ways to complete assignments and collect rewards regardless of your playstyle. Basically, this means we don't have to participate in PvP to contribute to the Landsrad anymore. There will be PvE missions, I'm assuming, that will allow us to contribute to the ongoing war between House Atreides and House Harkonnen without actually fighting other players. And honestly, I love this because there is a spot for both PvE and PvP. I'm someone that actually does want to participate in both, but in moderation. The issue I had with the previous endgame was the fact that I was forced into one bracket of those, which was PvP. Otherwise, I wasn't contributing to one of the game's key systems. There's obviously going to be more coming to Chapter 3, but they'll go over that come February 3rd when the update comes out. Alongside this, they are making it easier to take a break and return later. They apparently heard our feedback and the fact that it is really crushing to take a break from the game, come back, and all our stuff is basically gone. If you didn't log in to pay the taxes, to keep the power running for the shields on the base, you basically lost everything, besides the gear on your back and maybe a vehicle you had in your tool. Now, since I last played the game, they have added the base reconstruction tool, which made it so that you could pack up your base, store it, and then reassemble it, which honestly is really solid, especially if you know you're going to take a break from the game. You can just pack everything up, store it away until you come back, and then you can place it down again upon your return. They've also increased bank storage. They made it easier for players to safely store everything they have been working hard on obtaining by increasing the bank storage space, meaning that you can store more away even if it's not in your base, so that it's not as grueling to come back to the game and then you're starting from zero again. And probably the biggest thing they've done, at least for the player base health levels, is character transfers. Earlier this month, they introduce character transfers. Not only is this useful for active players who might want to move to a more active world or siege, it's also great for returning players who might be in a situation where their friends have left and they want to find a more active home to play in. Meaning even with the numbers being how they are at the moment, which is much lower than launch for Dune Awakening, we can now switch to a more populated server. I don't think the game will ever get to the levels it was at previously, maybe when a console launch comes later this year, but for now this is really solid. If all the players start congregating on specific servers, it can actually be healthy. The problem was everyone was dispersed amongst all these different servers because the player base was huge when it started, and since it's dispersed, all those worlds are really tiny in terms of player bases, to the point where player interaction wasn't really happening. A lot of the key systems for the end game weren't really working because you didn't have the player base for it to keep it healthy. And with chapter 3 there are 2 more changes coming. Strap in, because the first one is huge. No more taxes. Since the game's launch, taxes have been a regular point of discussion in the community. We are happy to share that we are eliminating this source of frustration, and starting with chapter 3, the Emperor will no longer require players to pay taxes for any bases. This also means that you can expand your base to your heart's content without incurring any additional upkeep costs. Hallelujah, we've abolished taxes. What a time to be alive. So it's going to be even better for players that want to take a break. They don't have to worry about base taxes. The only thing that they would have to worry about if they want to keep their base out and not put it in the reconstruction tool is power. And the second thing they're introducing, and the reason I haven't touched the game yet, because I was going to log in just to prep for chapter 3, get myself situated, get a base up and going, so I was ready to go when the new update came out. However, I then read this. There's going to be return packages. Not everyone who left the game earlier has been able to take advantage of these new tools for packing up and storing their stuff. I am one of them. That's why chapter 3 introduces custom return packages full of resources to help you jump back into the game. Once chapter 3 is live, the packages will be available to every character that hasn't logged in for 28 days and can be claimed via the claim rewards option in the in-game menu. I think we're about to see a huge surge in the player base. A lot of people hopefully will return to the game because of chapter 3. All the changes I've just gone over are huge. All the things that they've been adding over the last few months have really helped to the game, but nothing has really screamed at me to come back until this update. So come February 3rd, I think it's time to jump back into the world of Arrakis. I think it's time to gather the friends that you all saw in previous Dune videos, possibly some new ones, who knows, and start gathering spice again. Warring for House Atreides against House Harkonnen, and honestly, go back to enjoying one of my favorite games of last year and one of my most favorite survival games ever. I can't wait to jump back into Dune Awakening come February 3rd. Please, please, if you have the game, or if you've been thinking about jumping back in or trying it out for the first time, wait till this update. Come February 3rd, everyone has to jump back into the game. I want to see a huge spike in the player base to really show that we appreciate what the devs have done, all the hard work they've put into the game to make it something special, to make it something that we want. All of these systems we've been asking for. They've listened and they have delivered. So I think it's time to reward Funcom for their hard work by coming back on February 3rd. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Comment down below if you're going to be coming back to Dune Awakening come February 3rd for chapter 3, because I definitely am. I can't wait to jump back in, see all the changes, get back into the groove of things, and lose myself in the world of Arrakis again. So comment down below what you're going to be doing. Subscribe for more Dune Awakening, because it will be coming. Become a member today if you want to support me in another way, get early access videos and live streams. And thank you so much for watching this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!